Fasting can take us to a very deep and profound space. It's sitting at the intersection of our body, our mind, and our spirit. And if we're open to it, it can take us to a place where our raw emotions deep in the center can actually be brought to the surface and released. Powerful space. When we're feeling hungry, it's giving us an opportunity to get into that space, to confront a barrier and give us the opportunity to practice overcoming it. Maybe something that takes time for us to work on. But this is part of how we can bring healing to our metabolism, how we can bring healing to our body, and then healing to our relationship with food to help us build a new, healthier relationship with food. One where we are in control of the situation and we are not at the mercy of the whims of the appetite. Can start to build a practice of doing that right now, today, in the present moment, right here together. Today I'm going to specifically be talking about anxiety around fasting, fasting without anxiety. Anxiety in a fasting space could come in many forms, and it could be from actual fasting itself, like how long am I going to fast? Am I going to feel okay? What is going to happen in this space? What is someone else going to think about it? You know, there is something that can come into it. And then there's all the other anxiety of life that can be brought into a space, and when we start opening up some space, all of a sudden it can highlight emotions. Many times we'll use food to overcome and cope with other emotions that are coming in. When we open up fasting space in the body, it's opening up also mental space in the mind. We're not using food to cover over anything. So then anxiety, if it's something we're struggling somewhere, say, can that heighten it even in a sense? What I say, if we're going to be very thoughtful about it, it's an opportunity for us to actually confront and do the work of overcoming something like that. To me, it's a grounded, centered space. And bring in every other process to it. Take a deep breath and move toward it. So if you're ready to move toward something, maybe moving toward a mountain, I'm going to take us another insight from this book. The mountain is you today. Had is with us. Good morning. Hey, hello. Welcome to you. So nice to have you with me. Rise and shine today. Awesome. All right. I hit this passage the other day, and I've been thinking about it, and I just am excited to dive into this and do some thinking with you. Listen to this. I think this is a profound section. You change your life when you start showing up exactly as you are. When you become comfortable with being happy here, even if you want to go forward. When you can love yourself, even though you don't look exactly the way you want to. That's just the intro little section of what I wanted to talk about today, but it was, I think that those are just some beautiful thoughts. How does that land with you? Do you want to change your life, or is there something in your life that you want to change? We always think, or we can think, perhaps the trap is to think, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I buy this thing, or I'll be happy when I get this, you know? I'll be happy, like they say here, when I look a certain way, when I have accomplished a certain thing. I want to challenge us today to bring all of that right here now. We don't have to wait. So often the thing that we really want is hiding under the thing that we think we want. We think we want a certain thing that will make us happy, and then a lot of learning that we have done has shown us that underneath that are deeper desires, like just a space to find contentment and to find love and acceptance for ourselves. We have a lot of surrogate markers for things like that in our society today. Status and power and possessions of things. And these things can work for a while, and maybe they are fun, and you say they are entertaining, but do they really satisfy the deeper layer underneath that? Many times no. Has that been your experience? I know it's been my experience. They reiterate basically the same sentence. You change your life when you start doing the truly scary thing, which is to show up exactly as you are. I just thought that was interesting. They just added that truly scary words in there. Do you feel that way? Have you felt that way? Like to really show up as yourself? Do you feel, I mean, I know for myself, I can bring all kinds of feelings into a moment. You know, when I read that sentence the first time I read it, I thought this kind of imaginary scene popped into my mind where I was going to a party, and I think it might have been like, you know, well, I don't know. It was, you know, all kinds of people were there, and in the thought, I just told everybody like the honest truth about everything that I really thought. And I was like, oh, people are going to think, man, this guy is crazy. You know, you feel, oh, we just not even feel secure in our own thoughts. Showing up exactly as we are. Okay, and this, I thought about not even saying that first part. I really loved that phrase, you know, about loving ourselves. Even if we don't look the way we want to, you know. But this is the section that I thought was the most profound. Most of the problems that exist in our lives are distractions from the real problem, which is that we are not comfortable in the present moment as we are here and now. How are you feeling with that? Sit with that for a little bit here. To me, this is drilling down right into the core of what we're experiencing in a fasting space. Someone comes to fasting, people coming to it because they want something from it. They say, I want to lose weight. I want to get my blood sugar and blood pressure down. I want my cholesterol in a better place. I want to look a different way. I want to, you know, fill in the blank. Why are you approaching it, you know? But most people approaching it for weight loss, you know? Which I really want to help people do. I really do. I really want you to accomplish the goal that you seek. You know, something really deep to think about. I think now, okay, you're coming to it for weight loss, if that's your thing. And that's a great thing. Say, I want that. But is it the real reason even, right? Is there a deeper layer underneath it? Here they are challenging us and saying most of the problems we think we have a weight problem. The real problem is that we aren't comfortable in the present moment. And can't that be one of the biggest barriers to fasting? And is the real reason that fasting is difficult because of hunger, or is it because it's opening up a deeper space in the body where it can show us what the real problems actually are and that we don't want to experience that? And if we eat something, it's like put the cap back on the lens, you know, put the magnifying glass, fasting like a magnifying glass, like really look in there and see what is happening here in the emotional body. This is where I was bringing with the title to anxiety, because it's like you start opening up a fasting space. Hunger can be like its own type of anxiety. It is a real physical experience in and of itself. Can we be comfortable in the present moment? If you can fast and you can be comfortable in that space, then it's like all of a sudden, like the window to a path forward to weight loss and wellness is like wide open. You know what I mean? Like we are overcoming one of the primary barriers. And then we're sinking into a deeper level where if we can find peace and contentment in a moment, all of a sudden we're pushing back against anxiety more broadly. We're opening up a space where joy can spring out of. I did the video the other day. Maybe it was one of the shorts, one of the mini little ones. Dietary Path to Joy. I loved that thought. Okay, here they go on. So we must heal that first. We must address that initially because everything else builds from it. We must be brave and confront our discomfort. I really liked this line. I want fasting to be clear. I want fasting to be comfortable for people. If fasting was nothing but a struggle and a discomfort, I would personally not do it, okay? I'm interested in being comfortable like anyone else. The thing that initially inspired me so much to dedicate so much time to fasting was when I personally realized that the practice could become comfortable, that it was a challenge to overcome, that to get into the space, there's a barrier to entry, many barriers to entry. The fact that our culture does not support it. We don't have a fasting culture. We have a consumption culture. So you really have to change your mind to choose to do something different. And then, the first times you do it, the first times you change anything in life, don't you find that to be true? Isn't the first time that you do something new always a bit uncomfortable? It's like taking a cold shower. It's like, whoa, this is different. It's like, oh, but then you see a cold shower can be good. Like it's refreshing, right? So the barrier to it, step out of the comfort zone a little bit. Fasting space definitely can be like that. Say we're not used to feeling hungry. We have interpreted it as a very negative thing in our culture. I did the hunger series on the channel, if you haven't seen it. When you look, one of those videos on reframing hunger is just to realize that actually as we start practicing fasting helps us to see that hunger is not as bad as we think it is many times, recognizing that sometimes it can be very intense and we can have a lot of compassion for that. But when we start mapping it out on the big spectrum of life experiences, it's not like breaking your leg, right? It's like we can take a bit of hunger and it will flow through it and it will go away, okay? And we can start to see it for as it is and don't add everything else to it. Don't add the suffering to it. Start to bring the intensity of it down. But I still like this line. You got to start somewhere. Be brave and confront our discomfort. And this is something to ask ourselves. If you're struggling in that space, to say, Dr. Z, I don't agree with you. This is terribly uncomfortable. I can't make it through it. Hey, that's okay. I like this line. Be brave. Confront it. And what does it look like to confront it? This is why I like a dial, because a dial you can turn in right to the edge of it, but you don't have to turn over it. A dial can be turned up and back, you know? It's kind of like the analogy I like. You can walk along the river. You don't have to ford the stream right away. You can just dip your toe in the water. You can think about it. This is the sort of space that is like confronting the discomfort of fasting, if you're experiencing that to me. And to ask deep questions like, why do I feel this way? They say here, sit with it, even if it churns our stomach and pinches our face and makes us certain we'll never find a way out. To say, we will. And this is what I say, if you're struggling in a space. It is a health space. If you need to lose weight and you're approaching fasting, let me tell you, there is a path forward in that space. Never want anyone fasting. Every video I put the link, contraindications to fasting. When would it not be okay? Okay? Like if you don't want to do it, if anything is forced, if you don't need to lose weight, if you don't have like a reason to do it. Talk with your medical team about it, I would say. I'm not giving medical advice, but I'm just saying if you need to lose weight, look at the big picture of the human system, the way the body works. It is designed to store excess energy that we encounter in our life so that we don't die in the wilderness, when we are prevented from having food. It's an incredible system. And now we are living a very, very different type of existence here. And the body is not running the program for, 2026 as we're sitting here. It's running the program from like 6, like way back. And so we have a perspective, if you look at the modern medical perspective of obesity, okay, we label it, we give it a whole medical diagnosis, just a state in the body, say the body's broken. And everybody wants to say, well, this is a genetic disorder now. It's like, well, we have genetics, and genetics determine, how the body works. And so I guess I kind of agree with it. But from a certain point of view, I don't like labeling people as diseased who are just experiencing the normal physiology of the body. To me, that doesn't feel compassionate, really. The whole medical perspective is trying to be compassionate, as I see and talk with obesity medicine specialists and go to conferences. They don't want people to feel shamed to say, oh, it's not your fault, right? And I say the way that it's not our fault is just to realize, look, we are caught up in this gigantic wave of history. That this is like, check out the sessions I did, The Hidden History of Obesity, where we track the rise of this process back hundreds of years into the Industrial Revolution. And let's try to remember that quote. What was that quote from that French philosopher? I've lost it now. But it was like, basically like, we're all caught up in these waves of history, to me. If we can see ourselves from that point of view, we can bring a lot of compassion to ourselves. Here they finish this section. We must listen to what is wrong, feel it, and move through it, and allow it to be. This is what we can do in the fasting space. I just feel like, this book is not written about fasting, but to me, it's just dialed in right on what we are experiencing, right? We must listen to what's wrong, right? If you get in a space, right, fasting space, a deep space for contemplation and reflection, it's taking every distraction out of the way. So things that are wrong, you can more clearly focus and assess them and feel it, right? Maybe our relationship with food has some dialogue that needs to happen. Fasting is part of that dialogue, right? The conversation in the body is between the energy that is stored in the body, the metabolism, like if we personify it, which is trying to figure out how are we going to run this system here today, as like, where are we getting the energy from? It's always assessing. It's like, okay, it knows where the body fat is. It knows the glycogen storage in the liver. It's constantly assessing the blood glucose levels and ketone levels and everything. And then what is the digestive system doing? Think of the integration that is happening in this sort of space. And the dialogue that we're having and that fasting is doing is helping the body to access these different parts of energy. If we decide we got a lot of food here and we can eat it, then we are making that determination for the body. Body always going to burn the food energy first that we have. But when we tell the body, like, hey, either we don't have access to it or we don't choose to, body's like, okay, what's next? And then we go on the triage list, and the body will always be choosing what it deems to be the most appropriate way to handle the situation. People afraid, for example, so if I start fasting, I'm going to burn up my muscle. Now, it's true in a tiny bit. Like you fast, especially for a longer period of time, you can lose some lean mass, just like you lift a weight and you will break down your lean mass, but then you will build it back better, especially when you are nourishing the body with healthy protein sources and nutrients, okay? I love the analogy. I forgot where I heard it first, but it's like, if you were fasting and you just started fasting and you just burned up your muscle and left all the fat there, like think about any hunter-gatherer person in the wilderness who just fasted a little bit. They would just be a weak little blob, but just by the first week, right? But isn't this is the opposite of what happens? Have you've seen pictures of any indigenous community that hasn't been exposed to the West? It's like they are hunting and gathering and they are working all day and they are just absolutely lean and strong and powerful, fearsomely strong people. This is the natural state of a human being, fearsomely strong and powerful physical force on the earth. And fasting is part of that. I did the session last year. Fasting can make you strong, and it makes you strong in mind, body, and spirit. Absolutely it does. Especially in the body when you mix it with some physical activity like resistance training, then it is like these are just the most synergistic practices. Because the fasting space is helping us to fix the hormonal structure in the body that is promoting the construction of lean muscle mass. Is very, very positive. Feel it, move through it, allow it to be. This is what they're saying. The truth is, this discomfort is the true problem. We are running around trying to fix one thing after another, because all of these are just the symptoms. The discomfort is the true problem. Boy, I was thinking about this quite a lot yesterday. Let's think about it. This book, right, it isn't a fasting book. We can apply this to our fasting space, but like we can think about everything else that can come into a fasting space, right? If fasting is like a vessel that is holding space for the anxiety, for the problem, the thing, we open up a fasting space and we're experiencing something comes into that space as the most important. Maybe it is the hunger, right? So maybe hunger is a surrogate for something else. Maybe it's its own issue because our hormones are out of alignment. Hunger as a normal experience shouldn't be overwhelming. It should just feel like part of a natural process. So maybe it's that hunger space that comes in, or maybe we get in there and other things are coming in that we're experiencing. Maybe we are in a dark season in our life and we're experiencing dark thoughts and depression and something like that, or it's an anxiety of some type, grief that is coming in that we haven't given space to be allowed to release. The ideal state of our being, we should be able to sit in a space and be good with ourselves, to be comfortable in our own skin, you know? To take some time to decompress, and it should just feel like openness and positivity. And if we can't do that, like this is like a thermometer, it's like a check-in, right? Can we open up a space? Can we sit in a space for a little bit and feel okay? This is why the bridge between fasting and meditation is so powerful. They're really the two sides of the same coin. It's like the same thing, really, when you start to think about it. It's like we open up a fasting space as a way to power up a meditation space. Like you can definitely practice a meditation without fasting. You can have a meal and then go sit in a space and have a reflection and a contemplation. But like if you want to supercharge it, you would open up fasting space in the body. And now the body's not working. Remember how much work the digestive system is doing for us? Huge amount of work that it's doing. It's like we want to shut all that down. Open up all of our resources in our being toward the deep mental work of doing nothing, of just being open for a little bit. But that's easier said than done. Has that been your experience? It's easier to say, oh, like how easy is it to do nothing? But to actually do nothing actually be one of the most profoundly difficult things to do, ironically, especially in a world where we are surrounded by screens and stimulating things of all kinds. Say actually shut that off. You know, I did the session the other month on digital fasting. that so many of these experiences can feed into each other, right? Like when we are stuck on a device and it's like, okay, it's like that's kind of hitting the same pathways that are like a food craving for some sort of stimulation. It's like if we're trying to unpack these whole situations, should just shut the phone off is like heading us, part of the way there is something to practice. If you're having trouble getting into a fasting space, you say, I just don't know that I can do this. I'll tell you, you can do it. There is a practice, a path to do it. Maybe you need to start somewhere else first. Maybe the unlock is just hitting the off button on this for a while, many apps that you can lock stuff down on the phone. Say, I'm just going to leave the texting and phone on so I can make an actual call with the phone, but I'm not going to be sucked into some social media rabbit hole if that's your thing. Or you can silence anything. You could silence the text messages and keep it just the phone, I want fasting to be comfortable for you. I want it to be a space that is ultimately free of anxiety. Sometimes you have to go through a process to get there. Most things of value in life are on the other side of some type of barrier or obstacle, If you think just in a market, right, there's just a cost to something. You want something of great value, you're going to have to pay for it, right? I want a new car is going to set you back. You know what I mean? And so anything of value, when we're bringing it down into the health space, you want a strong body, you're going to have to work for it, right? You want muscles that are powerful, right? You're going to have to lift something or push something, right? You have to train it. Like you can't sit in a space and never move the body and have a strong body. There is a barrier to entry to have that, right? Fasting is just like that. You want a strong, finely tuned metabolism, like you have to practice it. You have to exercise it. The metabolism is an engine, right? Think of an engine in a car. It's burning fuel to provide the energy and motion to power things, right? And this is exactly what's happening in the body. The metabolism is taking energy either from within ourselves or from our environment that we're eating, and it's running the systems that are powering things. So we got an engine, and an engine needs to move to be lubricated, right? It's like that oil. If we're in our internal combustion engine, you got to lubricate that system so everything keeps operating smoothly. So what a fasting practice is lubricating the systems of the metabolism. If you never fast, right? Isn't it the hardest to start doing it? Say, well, like, I picture a little cell in the body, like you'd never practice fasting. All of a sudden, I watched a YouTube video. It says, fasting is easy. You just don't eat. Okay. It's like, okay. And the body, the first time is like little cells, I say, are waving a white flag. They're like, what are you doing to me? Like, time out, time out. Like, we're not ready for this, especially if we haven't really been eating healthy. Sometimes, we get a bug. We want to like just jump right in. So many health things at all once. All of a sudden, I'm going to overhaul my diet and start fasting and do all these things at once. I say, hey, just permission from me. Not that you need it, but like just slow down and give the body a little bit of grace. You wouldn't run into the gym. I mean, some people do, but this is how you hurt yourself. You run into the gym, so you're not a weightlifter. I'm going to throw 200 pounds on a rack, and all of a sudden you're getting crushed, by a bar, I was like, you need to start with the smaller weights and like lift them a little bit and rep it, and then the body responds and gets stronger. This is a much more gentle way to get into fasting to start with. Show the body like, hey, we're going to start to like lean into this space a little bit, and body's like, oh, I think we've got some plans for that, like in the back room, but we got to like take some crates off it and dust it off, But you start repping the fasting is repping that process of, okay, body's like, oh, we know where the body fat is. We can access that. We know where these pockets of energy are. Is start building the highways, the metabolic highways to it, and then we can start getting into that space. as you ease it in, then we take the way I started, anxieties that we can actually have about fasting. How long will this go and how will we feel? Remember what they're saying here. The real problem that we get into so many places in our life, the discomforts that we're actually feeling are the barriers and the obstacles. And the way I'm framing this here, what fasting is, helping us to become comfortable in the present moment, right in this space, is a practice to do it. And think about how that can flow out in so many different ways in our life. How are you feeling about this? How is it landing today? Let me know. I'm happy to hear your thoughts. Throw them into the comments. Always the comments on this video come to me. And so if you are even here later on the replay diving into this topic, throw your thoughts and reflections. We have an ongoing conversation about it throughout time, even years into the future. Come back into this session and we'll dive deep on finding contentment in this present space. Thinking of a fasting space like water, like a liquid. You know, water called the universal solvent. It'll dissolve anything over time. Think of taking problems that we have, especially emotional problems, but also physical problems in the body, problems in our spirit, okay? It's fasting the liquid that can start to dissolve some of that can eat away at it. There's a great irony. We're not eating, like what are we eating, right, in the fasting space? Autophagy, eating ourself, right? I think in the autophagy space, in the cell, the body doesn't go in and chew up the DNA. It doesn't go in and destroy the functional parts. It destroys the stuff that we don't want there. The stuff that is just clogging up the space, okay? And things are happening on many levels in this. And so in a fasting space, you know, it's happening at the level within the cell, like micro-autophagy effects is happening on the level of a whole cell. The body can just demo a whole cell and get rid of that. And then we can bring this up in a layer. The body can do tissue remodeling, right? It's like just on a large scale is like what a weight loss process is. And then we can scale that up further in this kind of metaphor. Like fasting a space to dissolve some bigger things. Run emotional autophagy, if we can call it that. Dissolve some bigger problems and processes. Really love that thought. That's kind of what's happening. And as we do that, say, okay, there's this object here. As I don't like this in my life. The object of the anxiety is here. I'm opening up some fasting space. Maybe you can't dissolve that all at once. Just like water isn't going to dissolve an iron bar, you know, instantly. That's going to take some years, you know, but it will happen eventually. Hopefully, the problems in our life aren't iron bars, but maybe they even are. Okay, so let's start a process. I think maybe this isn't a bad process. People come into a weight loss process, a health process, and we are on an instant, on-demand culture, and we want a problem solved yesterday, you know? And we especially want a weight problem solved by 3 months from now. And I always want to tell people, it's like, let's take a deep breath. Let's try to lower the expectations a little bit because we don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to set ourselves up for disappointment, right? We're trying to bring everything into this present moment. Like the book said, can we find happiness and contentment here now so that we can start not I'll be happy in 3 months when I've done this incredibly intense thing. Okay, because that's just one point in time, and usually the thing that is more likely to happen when we set up a dynamic like that is that we snap back because we have not done the grounding work of creating a strong and stable foundation. Think of Atomic Habits. We're not trying to pound our way there. We're trying to build the daily practices and routines so that we can start compounding this over time, just like investing, right? We're not trying to buy a lottery ticket. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. We're saying we're trying to be a saver, and we are trying to get compounding working in our favor so that this can be the last health practice you ever need. I want this sort of experience, simple fasting, this sort of process, can be the last thing you ever have to need. I don't want you to have to spend thousands of dollars on health gurus and people who are trying to sell you stuff, you know. The only thing I'd sell you personally is my time. I'd spend some time with you, and we just walk on the path together of doing the deep work of integrating these concepts, simple, basic processes, really bring them into the core of our being, so that they can become really a part of us and that we can get the most value from them in the long term. So, really happy to have you here with me doing that process. Love it. And I hope you have a great day. I will look forward to connecting with you again soon. Be well, everybody.